Good evening. I'm Arthur Murrow, and this is your daily briefing for April 7th, 2026. The United States has launched strikes against Iran's Kharg Island, a critical oil export hub, as President Trump's self-imposed deadline for Iranian compliance approaches. The MAGA coalition, long presumed unshakable, is showing real fractures, with prominent allies publicly turning on the president. And in the world of artificial intelligence, Anthropic is restricting access to its newest model over fears it could be weaponized for cyber attacks. In world news, the situation with Iran has escalated to a degree few analysts predicted even days ago. President Trump struck Kharg Island, through which roughly 20% of global oil shipments pass, and issued what can only be described as an apocalyptic ultimatum, declaring, quote, "A whole civilization will die tonight," end quote. His deadline expires at 8 o'clock this evening, Washington time. Vice President J.D. Vance, speaking from Budapest, where he appeared alongside Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán just days before Hungary's own elections, confirmed the United States had struck military targets on the island. In what appears to be a desperate gesture of goodwill, Iran and its regional proxies released several detained Westerners. New Zealand's Foreign Minister Winston Peters, who met with Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Washington, urged de-escalation, as reported by Stuff. The domestic political fallout may prove nearly as consequential as the military action itself. Tucker Carlson, long one of the president's most reliable media allies, called the strategy, quote, "vile on every level," end quote. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has joined Democrats in calling for the invocation of the 25th Amendment to remove the president from office. When figures like Carlson and Greene break publicly with a sitting president of their own movement, we are in uncharted territory, as reported by The Guardian. Separately, Der Spiegel reports that the FBI, Germany's Federal Intelligence Service, and its domestic security agency have issued a joint warning that Russian state-backed hackers have infiltrated thousands of consumer Internet routers manufactured by TP-Link worldwide. The scope of the compromise remains under investigation. Turning to markets and the economy, the New York Times reports that Gulf-backed investors have committed $24 billion to support Paramount's acquisition of Warner Brothers Discovery, a deal valued at a staggering $110 billion. Paramount had beaten out Netflix in February to secure the purchase. The scale of Gulf sovereign wealth now flowing into American media consolidation is a trend worth watching closely. On the artificial intelligence front, Anthropic announced it is sharply restricting access to its newest model, called Mythos. The company says the system is extraordinarily effective at identifying software vulnerabilities, which makes it both a powerful defensive tool and a potential weapon for cyber attacks. Only about 50 vetted companies will receive access. Both the New York Times and Le Monde covered the announcement, with Anthropic itself calling the model a cybersecurity reckoning. It is a rare case of a technology company voluntarily slowing its own product launch out of concern for what it has built. Meanwhile, billionaire Bill Gates will testify behind closed doors before a congressional committee on June 10th regarding his relationship with the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, according to a source who spoke to AFP and confirmed by Dawn. Gates is among the prominent names appearing in Justice Department documents detailing financial dealings and personal connections to Epstein. What ties much of today's news together is the theme of institutions under extraordinary pressure. A president threatening civilizational destruction while his own coalition cracks beneath him. Technology companies confronting the offensive potential of their own creations. And congressional investigators still pulling at threads that connect the very wealthy to the very worst. The question, as always, is whether the institutions meant to provide checks on power are still capable of doing so. That's all for today. I'm Arthur Murrow. Stay informed, stay skeptical, and we'll see you tomorrow.